You're tuned to Russ, McClellan and Friends on the Real Estate Show Home Sweet Home. Let's get back to Russ.
I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're talking about evictions in the land of COVID. Landlord-Tenant Act. For cause, not for cause. Cutting deals. Forbearances. Moratoriums. There's so many cool words that COVID has brought to us.
So many cool words.
I have Starleigh Smith and EC's in the house with me talking about this. Starleigh, so somebody's not paying rent. Is it fair to say that if we're going to expedite a solution, selling your place might be not a bad way to go?
Totally. It's not a bad way to go.
Tell me how that works. What do you have to do?
So there's a totally separate provision that allows for evictions if the landowner is going to sell their property. And that is under part of the new Landlord-Tenant Act that was promulgated this year by the state legislature. Under this new Tenant Act, the legislature is requiring landlords, if they have a lease that is month-to-month or rolled into a month-to-month lease, which many leases in Washington fall into that category, then landlords can only evict for certain enumerated reasons. They're called for cause reasons, like good cause reasons. One of those good causes is the property owner is trying to sell the house.
Okay.
And so when that happens, the landlord is able to give a notice to vacate, and they have to give, I just want to make sure that I get it right, 90 days advanced written notice to the tenant.
That you're going to sell, you're going to put it up for sale, or that you're going to close?
That you're going to put it up for sale. So landlords can do two things, right? When they're going to sell a house, they can get the tenant out before they sell it, or they can sell it with a tenant. And in the past, I think when landlords were selling investment properties, if someone's buying an investment property, it's kind of a value added that your investment property comes with a tenant, right? Because it makes money right away. You don't have to find a tenant. You kind of inherit this money-making proposition. Well, now in the days of COVID, with the moratorium, with all of this unpaid rent that's happening, and all the hoops you have to jump through to get the back rent, I think it's kind of become a subtracted value for an investment property to come with a tenant. You don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, they may not pay.
They may not pay. And by law, the landlord, the prior landlord's not allowed to tell a new landlord about unpaid rent during COVID.
Yeah, that's kind of does that fall under like a slander type? I don't know if slander's the right word, but kind of like if you had an employee that was, you terminated their employment and then somebody called you, you got to be real careful about what you say. You know?
I don't think it falls under that same type of category. I think that the legislature really is just trying to like protect people who face genuine hardships.
Yeah.
And who genuinely lost their jobs and didn't try to kind of take advantage of the situation. And while there are people who may take advantage of the situation,
Those Ferrari buyers.
the Ferrari buyers
Yeah.
may choose not to pay their rent, I suspect that there are a lot of people who genuinely suffered a hardship and are genuinely having a hard time digging themselves out of it.
Absolutely, there is. And one of the things I want to kind of interject this. I don't know how many times a year this happens, but it's a numerous amount of times that people have been told they can't buy a house.
Yeah.
By a family member, by a bank, no offense. Somebody that said you need 20% down to buy a house, or your credit score sucks, you'll never be able to buy a house, or you went bankrupt, you got divorced, you were late on your JCPenney card, whatever the myth is. And I'm here to tell you that maybe that's true. Never is a long time, and I don't buy that part of the equation. So maybe give us a call, literally, because we want to help you buy a house. And you might find yourself in a position where you haven't been able to pay rent, but we can still get you into a house, right? Because things do change. You know, they always say, you know, tough times don't last, tough people do. Well, one of the things we're going to do at Keller Williams is make sure we counsel people, and we have allied forces in the lending game that will develop a plan with us. ECs can spearhead that. I can do it. Luke. just about any one of our real estate brokers, and there's pushing 80 of these crazy animals running around town. So we can help you if you're a tenant, and we get it, right? And we have lenders that get it. There are a lot of lenders out there that will tell you something that is not true. Like, you'll never buy a house. I call crap. That's crap.
Yeah,
Yep.
and bad business, right?
Bad business. and not to pick on big banks, but when you're a national bank, they have a lot of restrictions and a lot of things they're told they can't say and have to say. And they try to have one law for 50 states, and it makes it very, very challenging. Local banks, very different story. And mortgage companies, very different story. There's all kinds of programs with zero down that we can get you in that are really pretty amazing. And you have all-time low rates. So you're in so many cases, like you said earlier, about where's that $1,200 a month? In this town, you can literally, with some creativity, buy a house and have a lower monthly payment than renting. And people are like, I don't believe you. And I'm like, well, call me and I'll prove it.
Let's have a chat.
Let's have a chat. I'm telling you, I really am excited about helping people that are going through tough times, right? Because it's okay to ask for help, right? And whether they're calling the law office or whether they're calling us, we're coming from a place of integrity, coming from a place of navigating these crazy things that we're all facing. I don't know about you guys, but, I can't go talk to any mentors that I can find that had a world pandemic. So it's like, what did you do in the last world pandemic? They're all dead. Like, it was like 1918. Like, nobody's alive. So I have to figure out what are we going to do and to help our community. And that's why we're partnering together and putting on these workshops. And just so you guys know, this probably will air after we have done a workshop, but we're going to most likely video it. And we're going to be able to make sure that people can get to the workshop that we're going to be holding about this topic. So people can come with some questions. We can figure out a website where we can maybe interact with some of these, but this is crap. Like, there's a lot of emotion involved, right? We kind of can sit on the sidelines and look in and go, pragmatically, or this is analytically how this works. But in reality, these are people's homes.
Totally.
Right. And it's not like there's an abundance of rentals.
They're not.
No, and you know that moving from Florida, right?
I do, yes.
Florida prices are a little less money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks right now. We're down about 75% inventory from a year ago.
Yeah.
But there's some things we're working on, right? There's some things we're working on to help people. A lot of things. And you just have to give us a call at Keller Williams, and we'll help you, or call Starleigh at the law office, right?
Call the law office.
Call the law office. Say, hey, give me some help. Yeah, so what happens next? All right, let's go down this path. Like, okay, I want to sell my home.
Yes.
Again, just kind of speaking, like, maybe I'd be creative if I was a landlord and say, hey, I'm going to sell it to my LLC. Can I do that?
If you want to sell it to your LLC, you might have to jump through a couple of hoops, because the new landlord tenant law, it requires not only if you evict someone because you're going to sell the house, you have to put it on the market, and you have to put it on the market at a reasonable rate. It has to be on the market within 30 days of the tenant vacating the dwelling, and it has to be advertised at a reasonable price with a realty agency, or listed at a reasonable price on a multiple listing service like MLS. We all know what that is, I hope. But the law has also created something called a rebuttable presumption. And this is a special thing that Washington has created. The rebuttable presumption is if the tenant that you evicted sees that your house is not on the market within 30 days, or within 90 days of the date of them leaving the house, you have taken it off the market and rented it to someone else, they can tell the court that you evicted them in bad faith, and then you have to pay them damages. Now, obviously, it's not like this catch-all, right? It's not like, haha, I got you, I'm going to go get your money. As the property owner, you get to go to the court and say, look, it wasn't on the market within 30 days because I had to change the carpet and they punched a hole in the wall, or whatever. Like, if you have reasons why it didn't get on the market within 30 days, you can go to the court and tell the court that. But the burden's on you to prove that you evicted them in good faith.
Right. So arm's length deals is what the law is trying to prevent, right? Like they're trying to stop a landlord from just pretending they're going to sell it or selling it to my brother. I don't want it on the open market. I just want to do a deal so I can get my tenant out.
Yeah.
And then my brother will sell it back to me, and that's not good. Right? Those are rules that are like not so good.
Yeah.
At least that's the goal of the law, like to try to be fair to everybody.
Correct.
So if you're gonna be sly, you might want to get a lawyer.
You might.
Generally speaking, if you're a sly dog, get a lawyer. It might be helpful.
If you're not a sly dog, get a lawyer.
Yeah, if you're not a sly dog, get a lawyer. So it's confusing. Imagine that, state of Washington being confusing. I bet you were shocked when you came to Washington. You were like reading the Landlord-Tenant Act, huh?
Yeah, I had never kind of done landlord-tenant law in Florida, and so this was my first kind of dipping my toe into the area. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, it's complex to say the least. So it's interesting information, right? And things seem to change. So I guess the recommendation is get some advice.
Yeah.
Get some help to navigate through this process. So you can get a hold of the law firm Jeffers, Danielson, Sonn, and Aylward at 509-662-3685, or you can call our office at 888-0038. And I appreciate you guys coming in. All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with our last segment and Michael Maher and Prime Lending.